Hi there. A very good afternoon to everyone who's joined the session. Good morning and good evening to all those who've joined us from places outside of India. Thanks so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. Today's session is particularly important because we are discussing all the security features that are available right now. And as you know, since everyone's working from home, the hackers are out there doing things as well. So it's very important for you to keep your data safe, keep users safe, and every all the information that you have in your system, it's important to prevent any unauthorized access. So speaking of that, we are discussing securing data and preventing unauthorized access in Lead Squared. Some of the things that we'll cover today are, of course, the basic security features, IP whitelisting, two-factor authentication, session management, managing access rights, permissions to users, securing landing pages, protecting the privacy of your leads, reviewing audit logs, and of course, securing API calls. So as you can see, there are quite a few things to cover today. So we'll jump straight in. To take us through the session, I have Anurag and Manikanta, both from Lead Squared. Manikanta is here to help you with your questions. So all those of you, keep your questions coming if you have any. Manikanta is there to assist you with that. And to take us through the presentation, I have Anurag, who's the manager of information security at Lead Squared. Hey Anurag, thanks so much for joining us. If you could share a few lines about yourself, about your experience in this domain, and take the session forward.
Sure. Thanks very much, Shibani. Hi, everyone. I am Anurag. I am the Information Security Manager at Lead Squared. I have a total industry experience of 8 years, and I'm with Lead Squared for the past 7 months, and it's really going great. I am into the security industry for the past 6 years, and I think we can get started for today.
Sure, let's take it forward. And again, quick reminder to everyone who's quickly joining in: keep your questions coming. Manikanta is there to help you with the answers.
Great. Yeah. So we'll get started with today's webinar. So this will be the agenda for today. I am sure Shibani just mentioned all these topics, so I just don't want to repeat that again. Uh, yeah. So we'll start with the overview on what is information security and how are we at Lead Squared, ensuring that we're meeting the best practices and standards. So Lead Squared is an ISO 27001:2013 certified organization, and we're also HIPAA compliant and certified. So both ISO and HIPAA are certified by BSI, and we're also GDPR compliant, which is majorly around personal information. And in today's webinar, I'll be talking about a lot of features and a lot of things that will help you in securing your data on Lead Squared. And for this, there are a couple of prerequisites. One of the first thing is most of these features will be managed by your administrator users, and if you're a sales manager or a sales user, you'll not be able to see these features, but it's always good to know what around the information security, and your administrators will be able to enable these features for you. And some of the features may not be available on all plans, so if you don't worry if you don't see any features out there, which I'll be talking about today. And if you are interested in any of these features and want that to be enabled for your account, please contact support@leadsquare.com or your account manager, and we strongly recommend you to upgrade your plans if it needs to be, and to access the security features that are required. So to start with, I'll be talking about how to prevent unauthorized access. So I mean today's session, right? So we will focus on different things, and the prime fundamental here is the security fundamental and the best practice is to have multiple features at different levels, right? In security industry, we call it as onion layer protection, right? So you have different things and different features at different levels, and to protect your data and to protect your information. So we have multiple features in line with this concept, and at different levels and at various levels. So we'll talk about that, and we'll see how we can protect our data and your data, which is hosted on Lead Squared, as it's a shared responsibility model when it comes to security. So first and foremost, let's talk about IP whitelisting. So Lead Squared has this option of whitelisting the IPs. So if you wish to restrict the access, only from trusted IP addresses, well, you can use this feature of IP whitelisting. Add only the IP addresses that you trust, maybe your office IP addresses, and restrict users through VPN, or maybe other set of IP addresses that you think are absolutely necessary. This will basically avoid any potential hackers or potential attackers from accessing your environment, right? So that's basically restricting. I mean, for example, that's like restricting the accessibility of your door, right, to only a set of people who can enter, right? So before you do this, we would strongly recommend you to check the feasibility from your security teams or from your IT teams, so that if this can be enabled, and what will be the plan and architecture to do this. And that's when we would recommend whitelisting the IPs on Lead Squared platform. So only the requests from these whitelisted IPs will be responded to, and every other request will be blocked. So this is where you enable this feature. So once you log in, go to the settings from the right top of your screen, and there you can see users and permissions. You click on restriction IP, user IP whitelisting, and that's where you see enabling options of IP restriction. And you can also enable IP restriction on APIs, which I'll talk about in my next slides. Yeah, so the next feature is two-factor authentication. Well, all of us use usernames and passwords to log into our systems, right? And usernames and passwords are not very, very secure, or not extremely secure, or something that you can totally rely on. They are prone to attacks, they're prone to hackers, and they're prone to compromise. So in order to avoid that, we have multiple features here to protect your passwords and to protect the authentication and the user's identity. And one such thing and very important thing is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication basically has, I mean, it comes under multi-factor authentication, wherein you have different levels of authenticating users. I mean, in security terms, it is like what a user is, what a user has, what a user knows, and things like that. So password is what a user knows, and multi-factor authentication works through, I mean, Lead Squared supports through an OTP, that's one-time password, and this goes to a device, an electromagnetic device or an electronic device that a user has, right? So this is the second layer of protection, and second layer of checking the authentication of the user and checking the identity of the user. So Lead Squared supports different levels of different types of two-factor authentication when it comes to OTP. You can either set up an OTP to via text message to a phone number of the user, or you can set it up onto the email address of a user, or you can also use any time-based one-time password apps, right? The TOTP apps, such as Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator and things like that. So Lead Squared supports these authenticators, and this is how you enable it on your screen. Click on security, go to login settings, and enable multi-factor authentication. So yeah, this is a small demo on how you do it. So go to security, and click on two-factor authentication, enable that, and it will then give you options whether you want to do it through an SMS, through an email, or use any third-party apps like Google Authenticator. Moving on is password encryption. Uh, so all the communication between the browser and the server happens through a secure channel on Lead Squared through HTTPS, which is all encrypted and prevents any unauthorized access or man-in-the-middle attacks. But still, password is a very sensitive field, and it has to be protected, with further some more controls and some more things in place, which will help in securing the organization and securing the sensitive information, right? Because password is a really important thing in that people can use it to misuse, and if it's leaked, and you can get the authentication of the user if it's leaked. So in order to avoid that, you have enhanced options like password encryption. So once you enable this, password is encrypted at the browser level, and it is sent to the server, which is encrypted, right? So all the tunnel is encrypted, and also the password is encrypted. So this helps in enhancing the security standard. when it comes to the sensitive information. And the other advantages that you have when you enable password encryption is users will not be able to do a remember password, because as you know, most of the browsers store passwords in clear text, right? The credentials in clear text. So that's a vulnerability and that's a threat, right? So if someone gets access to your system, they can breaks into your system with an administrator access, they can easily gain access to your systems as well, right? So in order to reduce the potential of this kind of threats, you can actually enable password encryption. And the other advantage of this is password is not stored on the browser cache. So there's again another advantage that you get when you enable the password encryption. So we strongly recommend everyone to enable password encryption. Well, so while I talk about these features today, if you have any doubts or if you need any help with setting up these features, you can contact our support teams anytime, and you can contact your LeadSquared account manager, and we will be able to help you in having these settings enabled for you. The next setting or the next feature that we have is force logging out all the users. This is again a useful feature to have when in situations like if there are any abnormal monitoring alerts that come from your monitoring team, or if there are any abnormal activity that you identify as a part of your incident monitoring. And if you see an abnormal activity, you would always want to reduce the surface impact, the impact area, right? So that's again, as per the security best practices, you need to reduce as much probability of this spread as possible. And in order to do that, the first thing that helps you here is force logging out all the users. So that will basically give you some time to review all the logs or do all your investigations, check the forensics, and see if those alerts are false alerts or if they're valid alerts, and how do you proceed with that. So this feature basically helps you to log out all the users. The next important thing is session management. Well, in session management, I know most of you from the business side may not be very happy with this feature, but again, at the end of the day, you need to balance both business and security, right? And in order to do that, session management actually helps a lot. Session management helps in timing out the sessions and killing the idle sessions, right? So there are two parts in session management. One is session timeout, and the other is the login time expiry. So login time expiry is basically logging out after certain hours of login. So let's say I come to work at 9 a.m. in the morning and I leave at 6 p.m. in the evening, right? So and if I don't if I'm not expected to work after 6 p.m., then I don't need to have access to the system after 6 p.m. And there's no point that I stay logged in to the system after 6 p.m. or after 7 p.m. or after 8 p.m., right? So that's where login time expiry helps. So you can set up login time. So after this many hours, you can force log out the user, and if he or she is still working, they can always go back and log in again. So this will also help in securing the access keys or the auth tokens. They will have an expiry, and once they expire and a user logs in again, there's a new session that's generated, or there's a new token that's generated. And not having a token valid for a long time, that means your environment is more secure and you have short-term tokens, right? And session timeout is where a user is idle for a long time, right? So let's say I am not using my machine for 30 minutes and my session is still active, it's still logged in, and there's no point of having it logged in for hours together, right? So what if I leave my machine unlogged, right? So what if I leave my machine in an office with a lot of people around unlogged, right? Forget about the current situation where a lot of us are working from home, but in office, usually people from different departments and people from different parts are in office, and you don't want to provide access to your system to unintended users, right? So that's where again session timeout helps. So these are the settings. Again, as you know, LeadSquared, you can customize things up to the granular level. So similarly in session management, you can not only you can set the login time expiry and also the session timeout, but you can also define what is the time that you're looking at, right? So you may consider 30 minutes as an idle session timeout, but I may consider 15 minutes. So you can do that customizations here on the screen. And you can also set up the login time expiry. You can set it to 12 hours, you can set it to 24 hours, or depending on your organization's security policies and the approach and things like that. And in line with session management, there's another feature which is very important for mobile users. So most of you also have mobile implementations and your users use mobile apps. So session validity and enabling dynamic token for mobile app will actually help in reducing the session validity again on the mobile users. So only one login is enabled at any given time. So let's say I have one device that I'm using continuously, and you see another login happening on my credentials on a different device, you don't need to basically allow that unless it's a genuine login, right? So that's where this one login at any time will help. So basically users can log in using one credential only on one device. And if a user is logged in into one device and tries simultaneous login, yeah, that's what I was talking about. The second device will be active, but then the first device will be logged out. So either that will give you a hint if some malicious activity is going around, or if it's a genuine thing, then you don't need to have a session logged in on both the devices. So we again recommend to enable this setting, which will help you in further securing your accounts and securing your tenant. If this is enabled, again, the force logout feature that I talked about in my previous slide will also be applicable for mobile users. So the force logout, which I spoke about, is by default for web users, and it will work for mobile users only if the dynamic token for mobile app is enabled. And so all these settings, again, like I said, administrator users will be able to enable these settings. And if you need any help beyond that, yes, we are always there to help. You can contact support team, or you can contact your respective account manager. So this is how you enable it. Go to security, login settings, and enable the dynamic token for mobile app. The next important thing is authentication provider. This is a very important thing these days, where multiple organizations have different accounts, right, across different platforms. And if you don't have the feasibility of integrating all these accounts, it's a difficult situation for the end user, right? You can't achieve security if this is the case, right? Because multiple users will have, let's say I am a user in my organization, I have 10 different accounts, and I have 10 different IDs and passwords for all these accounts. Right now, it's easy for me to use the same password across different domains, or have a weaker password setup so that I can remember that easily. So there are different challenges if you have multiple accounts, right? So it's always easy from the end user perspective, which in turn helps in the security of the organization and the security at the account level, is to have a single sign-on and have a single authentication provider across multiple accounts. So LeadSquared supports this single sign-on, or having or integrating with your existing authentication provider. And we do it with three types. We have three options for you to configure it. Whichever works best for you, you can go ahead with that. The first is ADFS, that's using the Active Directory, the Windows Active Directory. And you can also use it using Google authentication. You can integrate Google authentication with LeadSquared, and you can use your Google credentials to log into LeadSquared. And you can also do it with third-party APIs. Like if you're using any third-party tools for SSOs, you can do it using the API integration. So another big advantage of having a unique single authentication provider across multiple accounts is it will help you a lot in your compliances and auditing programs, where you'll have your own organization password policies set up across multiple domains, right? For those of you who are from security teams, or for those of you who actually be a part of audits, you would know the difficulty of answering things around, or managing things around, having different policies across different accounts, right? So this will actually help in having the same policy both for compliances and both for the password policies and the strength perspective. So different organizations might have different security policies and different password policies, right? So my organization might have a 10-digit mandatory password, but another organization that my friends works for may not have 10-digit but have only 8-digit as a minimum required password, right? So there's a clash here, and I so in these cases, integrating it with the authentication provider that you have will actually help in having or carrying out your own organization policies, and with respect to the password complexity or with respect to the password strength, and also helps you with the compliances. So if you look at how can we do this, well, you can again go to settings, click on security, go to authentication provider, and this is where you'll have option to select and have these settings. So once you enable that, you'll have options to either select Active Directory, Google, or any API. So once you select particular thing and you configure it, you can test it, and you can set it up. So these are the three options that we have that I was talking about. One is ADFS. So how do you integrate it with ADFS? Well, it might sound a little complicated, but trust me, it's not. You basically have to loop in the administrator users both on Lead Squared and your domain controller. They'll have to promote the server to the ADFS, and you just need to have the SSL certificate details, and with that you'll be able to set this up. Well, don't worry about the process. Like I said, our support teams are happy to help. And this is how it looks like if you integrate it with Google. So you can test the authentication provider when you're setting it up. And once you set it up, the image on the right will give you a feel on how it will look like once you integrate it with Google. So you can directly log in with Google onto the Lead Squared environment. So the next option that we have is using APIs. So like I said, like I've mentioned in my previous slides, you can also integrate if you're using any third-party single sign-on tools. You can use those APIs and integrate that with Lead Squared. And this is again very simple and easy to set it up. Yeah, so the next domain that we'll be talking about today is controlling data access rights and user permissions. So now most of the settings that we have talked so far are with respect to the authentication. And now let us talk something about authorization. So in Lead Squared, we have different user roles, right? So most of you might already be aware of these user roles that Lead Squared provides. We have sales user, sales manager, marketing user, administrator, and a super administrator. So these roles will help you in segregating the permissions and the access that people have uh, across the options and across the features on Lead Square and across things that they do on the Lead Square platform. So you can select appropriate user role that will help you in best achieving your roles and best achieving the roles of the person intended. So this is where you can see all the user roles and all the users in your organization. So go to settings and users and permissions. So if you click on users, you'll have a list of all the users and the role is displayed here. Based on this, you can see who all are administrators, who all are sales users, who are managers, and things like that. So this will also help you while you're doing periodic audit reviews or while you're looking at the settings. Sales groups, well, this is a good option to have. This will basically define which users have access to which leads, right? And you can also customize on the granular level, like I said. And this is again, this will also help you in setting up automations and setting up access groups, right? So you can also control who can view and who can modify leads in a group, right? So this is an example image that's shown here. So group one, let's take group one, which has A as a sales manager and B and C are sales users. And we have another group, group D, where D is the sales manager and E and F are sales users. And we have a company sales head who would like to have all the information, all the leads. So by hierarchy or by architecture, A will have only access to the leads and the activity of B and C, right? Similarly, D will have only the access and activity of E and F. So if a company sales head, Mr. X, wants to have details about everything, then you can simply create another group, group 3, right? And you can add A and D as sales users, and you can add Mr. X as manager. So this will enable access to all the leads and across the groups and all the users across the groups for X to review and monitor. So these are the different types of access that can be controlled or restricted. Like I said, you can control the view and modify the permissions. So this is how you do it. So while setting up or while creating a sales group, you can basically create a sales group and edit it. Or while setting it up, you can see all these features wherein you can view all the accounts of a group or modify all the accounts of a group, and you can enable these settings as per your requirements. Yeah, so permission templates is a very important topic, and it's a very good feature to have it configured to secure your data. The permission templates basically help in restricting what is required to a user, right? So as a security best practice, it's always recommended to have least access privilege, right? So whatever is required, only that is that is required to be provided, and not more than that, not less than that. Yeah. So the permission templates basically help you in achieving that. So they will let you control access to features and actions. So what a user can do, what he can see on a lead data, and whether he can edit that lead information, or whether he can create a new lead, or whether he or she can delete a lead or export or import leads, and all these actions can be customized. And as per your requirement, you can configure these permission templates, and you can apply this onto different levels of access, which I'll talk about in a minute. So you can basically create a permission template. You can apply these permission templates across various levels, and you can control which users are shown in the drop-down fields as well, so that I don't, need to have access for everything. You can control my access, you can control users access, you can control administrators access. Everything can be controlled. You can also apply these permission templates to administrator users, for which you need to be a super administrator, and you can control permission. You can apply permission templates on admin users as well. So this is how you can create a permission template. So once you go log in as an administrator, go to settings, go to users and permissions. That's where you'll see permission templates. And once you click on create, you can create a permission template. And the beauty of permission templates is this: you have granular access of everything, and you can control everything, like what a user can see and what a user can do, right? So all this can be controlled. And if you see the restrict access column here, where you can see dashboards, reports, custom apps, so all this can either be disabled or enabled for a user to view, right? And when it comes to the permissions, right, you can actually control access and limit it when it comes to the actions. So a user can see the leads, but he need not see personal information of a lead, right? But he need not see health information of a lead, right? So all these things can be configured or controlled using permission templates. So I'll give you an example in my next slides, which will help you in understanding better. Uh, this will basically help in preventing any unauthorized access and any possible compromise of data, or any possible, unintended access to the data. So this will help in achieving the principle where the least access privilege principle, wherein only what is required needs to be given out. So yeah, once you create a permission template, you can go to those permission templates, click on the gear icon and click on apply template. That's when you can apply this particular permission template, and it can be applied onto the various levels, which are user level. You can apply it on a role level, or you can apply it on a group level. So this is again a good customization that you can use, which can be applied onto multiple levels, right? This is an example of permission templates. So I have, let's say I have a few users who are working on sensitive information, right? So they are only supposed to send out emails to the leads and do nothing more than that. So in that case, I don't need to give them access to their phone numbers. I don't need to give them access to leads' personal information like their social security number or Aadhaar card number, or be it a PAN number. I don't need to give them access to either view or edit those settings. So I can restrict this using permission templates, So I create a new template, I configure the activities, and I configure the views. I'll restrict the views only to what is required. In this case, in this example, they're only required to send emails to leads. So they can see the email address, but they can't see the phone number, which is masked out. They can also not see the be restricted from viewing any personal information which can be masked out. So all this can be configured using permission templates, and this is a very good security feature to achieve the motive of least access privilege. Yeah, so this is again another feature from permission templates, wherein you can control users in the drop-down fields. This will basically help you prevent sales users from accessing the leads of other sales users, right? So if a user is able to access leads of other user and which is not intended in your environment, you can well create permission template and apply it on users so that they're restricted to only what they need and what they're supposed to work on. Moving on, like I said in the features, so permission templates can also be applied onto administrator users. This is also useful if you have multiple administrators in your account and you would want to restrict access to particular set of administrators and not provide access to all the administrators across everything, right? If you have bigger environments, this is a very possible scenario. And you can, what you can do is you can promote a few users as super administrators, and they will be able to create permission templates and apply it on administrators. So once you create super admins, they will be able to see an option like this on your screen circled in red, where they'll be able to apply these permission templates onto administrator users. The next topic for today is securing landing pages. So for those of you who have landing pages and who are using Lead Squared for your own landing pages, then this might interest you. The threat or vulnerability that you may say would be someone unintended getting onto your system and creating fake leads, right? So because your websites are accessible to the internet, right? So people can actually go ahead and attackers can find it. I'm not talking about the good guys, but I'm talking about the bad guys can find it and can spam your system by creating multiple leads, and can also create fake leads. And in turn, that will, if this is possible, if they're able to create fake leads, then that will trigger an alert on their system and they'll be able to further investigate and attack and create more damage onto your system. To avoid that, Google reCAPTCHA is a very good option to have. Once you enable this feature, you will have a captcha that's showed on your landing page, and if there are multiple entries happening in a similar way from a similar location, then this captcha is automatically turned on, and if not, it's turned on for everyone, and they need to click on the captcha before processing. So the best part of this is this will actually block all the bots from creating fake leads on your network or on your account. So this is an example. So all of you would have registered for this webinar, and on the webinar, while registering, you would have seen the Google reCAPTCHA there. So you are expected to click on the I'm not a robot checkbox. So this is what I'm talking about. So you can enable this Google reCAPTCHA, wherein the bots will not be able to pass this, and you will not be bombarded with fake or spam leads. This is another feature in controlling, like I said earlier, in controlling the visibility of your landing pages. If your business case is only targeting a few domains or only targeting a few locations in the world, then you can do that. You can achieve that. You can actually whitelist only intended domains, and so everything else by default is blocked, and only the whitelisted domains will be able to perform the intended action. So this is how you do it. So once you're creating the landing page, it will give you an option to select allowed domains. There you can select any domain, or you can restrict it to particular domain. And once you select a particular domain, then you'll have to key in what are those domains, and only those will be able to access the landing page and will be able to perform the intended action on your landing page. So moving ahead, we have this privacy section. How do you protect your privacy of your leads? I know day by day, a lot of countries are moving towards protecting the personal information of its citizens and having multiple regulations and standards in place and are forcing people to comply, which is a good thing to have. And GDPR is a very big and a benchmark when it comes to protecting the personal information in this regard. And GDPR applies to all the people who are staying in the European Union. And if your business use case or if you're targeting people in the EU, then you're also required to protect the personal information of your leads, for which Lead Squared also supports all the features that are required to be in compliance with GDPR. And these are the three major options that LeadSquared provides to be compliant on protecting the privacy of your leads, and in turn being compliant to standards like GDPR or any other regulation in various other countries. So cookie consent is the first and foremost thing, wherein anyone who comes onto your page, who lands on your page, you display this cookie consent ribbon, and they'll be able to you'll be able to record whether they're okay with uh, you taking their information and processing it, or whether they're not okay with you processing their information, in which case you'll know you'll get a yes or no, and that will help in further recording and moving ahead. So this is how you enable it. So once you enable cookie consent, the picture below shows the ribbon that will be displayed on your landing page. Again, this ribbon can be entirely customized. And yeah, another feature which is again with respect to protecting the privacy is email opt-in. You can also have this feature onto your leads who are primarily based in countries which are regulated by any such privacy laws. You can take their permission before you can send them any email. So this also can be enabled on Lead Squared. This is how it looks like. So once you have a new lead, you can set up automations to work for you on Lead Squared platform, wherein a lead gets an email and he or she will have an option whether to, stop any email subscriptions, or allow email subscriptions, or customize these email subscriptions onto what is required. Right. So all this will help you in protecting you from any, protecting the privacy of the leads. Personal data protection, yeah. So this is a very good feature again to have it enabled for your leads. So your leads will basically be able to go and check what information do your system have, which is of them, and how can you, I mean, this will also give them an option to remove their data, view their data, update, or do not track their data, and others. So comments are also available. So if someone wants to get back to you with something else apart from these options, they can also do that using the comments option available. So all these things will help you in protecting the privacy of the leads, and in turn will help you in uh, complying with the standards and complying with the privacy regulations across the globe. The next topic is reviewing audit logs. So audit logs is a very important feature, and it's a in security world, it's a must and should, because that'll actually help you in checking the integrity in periodic audit reviews, and in order to make sure that people are doing only what they're authorized to do. And this is from the checking compliance perspective or from the reviewing perspective. You already have permissions to restrict people from what they're not allowed to do, and you have this now to check whether people are doing only intended stuff and not anything more than that, right? So audit logs will help a lot in that perspective. And also if you have any prospective or if you have any abnormal activities that are going on your accounts, right? So maybe your monitoring systems can trigger something, or maybe your audit review systems may trigger something, or your incident response systems would trigger something. In those cases, again, the audit logs will help you very well to go and check what is wrong and how did it go wrong, and all, I mean, with both investigations and doing all the forensics, right? So on your administrator dashboard, you can click on reports on the top right of your screen, and there you can go to report home, wherein you'll see all these options. So all the activity on Lead Squared is recorded by all the users. So you can see all these reports. You can click on whatever is required or intended, and you can generate the report, you can run the report, and you can have and analyze the report. So audit logs will help you a lot, and all the activity on Lead Squared is basically recorded. So request history is again another helpful feature when it comes to reviewing the audit logs. So this will basically help you in looking at all the bulk activities that have been performed on your account, right? So who has performed what activity when it comes to bulk export or bulk import and things like that, right? So here on my screen in this example, you can see there was a lead export done, right? And there is an activity export done. So if this is okay, if this is intended, then it's fine. But if someone you are not expecting them to do any such activity has performed this activity, then that's something that needs to be investigated and checked based on your organization policy and based on the security policies. You may then make an action or take an action on whether to restrict the access or whether to use permission templates to restrict this access or whether to use any other setting and limit the access for any particular user. The last topic for today is securing your API calls. So these are again best practices that I'll be informing you today or telling you today. Uh, so this is the Lead Squared APIs basically support latest encryption algorithms like TLS 1.2. This is for data in transit, and all the browser server communications and the server server communications are all encrypted with the latest encryption algorithms. And the access keys and secret keys, which are used as a token for authentication. So once you log in, these keys are generated, and these can be used for authentication, right? So if you have the access key and secret key, you'll be able to log into that particular user, and you can take over the session of that particular user, right? And you need to keep them secret. They are not meant to be used or displayed for public. Again, the mobile setting that I was talking about, the mobile dynamic token that I was talking about some time ago, that will help you in with this perspective, right? So if someone gets access keys and secret keys of your account, then they will try and log in, right? So, but if you enable the dynamic token on mobile app, no two simultaneous logins will work, right? So that will help in letting you know that someone else is trying to log in, or that will help. I mean, once you are forced log out, you'll obviously try and log in again if you're working on the system, or uh, you'll try and log in, and you'll that will basically generate a new token and new keys, right? So this will again help you so these settings will help you in achieving security around authentication and securing your access keys and secret keys. Also, the session management will help you here, right? So let's say I logged in, I logged into my session, and I am inactive for 15 minutes, and my organization has a policy of logging out all the users after 15 minutes of inactivity. Then I'll be fine. If my organization don't have that policy in place, then if someone gets access to my access keys and secret keys, if some attacker gets access to it, then they can hijack my session, and they'll be able to do whatever they want to do, right? uh, IP whitelisting is again another good feature to have. So in my previous slides, when I was talking about IP whitelisting, I talked about the same thing. You can actually restrict the APIs also to listen only from restricted IP addresses, which are intended by your business, and not from everything, right? So let's say you have a lot of IP addresses that you wouldn't want them to be accessing the Lead Squared APIs, right? Or your system APIs. Then you can have this setting in place to restrict the APIs to listen only to whitelisted IPs. So like I spoke about, permission templates are very good tool or is a very good feature to have in place and to restrict API access as well. So you can use permission templates to use and restrict access to APIs. And yeah, the logs, yes, you all these logs are recorded, and you can see those logs, all the API logs, who is accessing which API and at what time and from which location. All this can be viewed from API logs. So you can go to My Profile Settings, API and Webhooks, and you can see the API logs. Yeah, so that's it from me today. I hope the session is useful. If you have any questions, please ask, and I'll be happy to take any of those questions.
Thank you so much, Anurag. Yes, there were a lot of features there which were probably very new to some of our users here, especially if you're new beginners to Lead Squared or have recently started using Lead Squared. So, not to worry, if you have questions or if you want Anurag to explain a feature again, do share that now so he can do that. In the meantime, I'd also like to know from the audience if there were any specific features that you want a full session on, so like a detailed session on any of these features. Some of the options here are, of course, permission templates, audit logs, reports, authentication provider. And if you're good, then all right, just let us know. But if you want specific sessions on some of these features, it's good for us to know as well, where you need help, and we will try to assist you with that. I'd like everyone here, please, to vote and let us know if you're good with all the features, you completely understood them, then that's fine. If there are any features that I haven't mentioned here but you want a session on, again, please mention that on the chat. It'll really help us evaluate um, what we can take up further going forward. I'm going to give it a few more seconds until you all can put down your poll responses, please. Which feature among these would you like us to do a session on again? I can tell you, Anurag, a lot of people are asking for audit logs and reports. So that's definitely one of the areas we need to look at. That's about
Yeah.
37% are saying audit logs, reports, about 16% are saying permission templates, 11% are saying authentication provider, and about 35% are saying good. So that's great. We do have some experts here who know Lead Squared well, so it's always good to see that. But from what I can see, Anurag, audit logs and reports is the one that most people want a session on, and also permission templates thereafter. That's what I can see right now.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
terms of questions, yeah, in terms of questions, we had a question on Google reCAPTCHA. Maybe if you could re-explain that point, please.
Sure. Yeah, let me go back to that slide, please. Yeah. So Google reCAPTCHA basically helps you prevent or helps you secure your landing page from any bot attacks, right? And secure it from someone or any attacker creating multiple fake leads or spam leads and spam your system, right? So there might be an incident where uh, attackers can come in and target your account, and they use automatic tools, right? They use automation tools, and those tools will do things for them, right? So those tools will basically keep clicking on next and keep clicking on adding new leads, right? So let's say I'll take this example. I'll take the example of webinar registration. So here we have first name, last name, email, and name of the company categories we're asking for the users. So now let's say everyone is intended to join has mentioned all these details. That's fine. So now let's say an attacker comes in, he finds out this page, and he writes a script to basically put everything that's possible and keep go it on a loop. So there'll be multiple leads created on this same thing, and Google reCAPTCHA basically helps you in blocking all the bots, right? So all the scripts and automated tools will not work if you have Google reCAPTCHA enabled. So you'll have, I mean, if there is someone posting any spam leads, then that's a manual effort and that will take a lot of time, right? So people usually use automatic tools and that will be blocked using Google reCAPTCHA. I hope it's clear.
Sure, we have a question on WhatsApp integration, but I don't think we are covering that here right now. If I'm right, Anurag.
Yes, that's right, Shibani. So maybe you can
Yeah.
drop
So,
a note to support
Jyotsna,
at leadsquare.com and we'll be able to have, I mean, we'll be happy to help you with that.
yeah, definitely. So, Jyotsna, just let us know what exactly your query is on WhatsApp integration, and your account manager or our support team will reach out to you to assist you with that. I don't see anything else coming in, so I'm completely assuming that you all have understood everything and you're good to go. But again, if you have any further questions, we are always around to take them. So you have my email ID, just respond to my email and I will reach out to you. Okay, so there's a question on. Okay, yeah, yeah. So Anurag, I'll read out the question, but I think it'll go to support anyway. She says use cases and capability on integrating WhatsApp Business with Kalera and Yellow Messenger. All right. So I think that'll have to be taken up by another team, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Anurag?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
right, Shibani.
Okay. So yeah, so I think we're good to go then. Thank you so much, Anurag. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just a second. I was just looking at any other questions. Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anurag. Thank you so much, Manikanta, for giving us your time. And we will see you again soon. Anurag, we should, of course, do a session on some of the focused topics that we had talked about earlier.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.